All right, welcome everybody to
the 5-year anniversary of Art and Stuff.
I just noticed that's really bright. Anyway, we're going to be looking at Death Blow, which is Jim Lee's version of Frank Miller's art. We're going to talk about how that was influenced, and we're also going to talk about how the 90s are still killing it. All up next on this show that we like to call
Art and Stuff.
There we go. See y'all in a second.
I am telling you, it is the definition between an entrepreneur and an employee. The employee goes to the cliff, looks over the cliff, says, is there a balloon down there? Will I be safe? What happens if it hurts? What if I land on my neck? The entrepreneur, they said, we need to jump off the cliff, backs up 10 feet to get a fucking run.
This town needs an enema.
Fuck.
Who are you? Where's Commissioner Gordon?
Come on, you guys just beat me.
Too stupid!
You don't really think you can leave. Things change.
You got me? Who's got you?
Everything changed. And anyone who tells you different is just lying.
You know who this is? This is Mark motherfucking Sylvester.
All right, here we go. Let's go. This is going to be a fun episode, not only because it's the 5th year anniversary of Art and Stuff, but also we get to look at some art we've been wanting to look at for a little while and talk about some influences. And then we're going to get into some subjects that are going to piss somebody off. I know it.
Can't wait.
Because let's just jump into it. Well, before we do, though, John, how you doing, my friend?
Doing great, brother. Working on page 41 of Type 1. So just getting closer and closer to finishing off the art on my end, and I'm very excited to be on those trails.
I love it. Everybody
you?
check it out. Don't be a bum, back Type 1. I am doing good. Doing pretty good. Not much to complain about. You know, halfway through the week, actually more than halfway through the week, we're getting about ready to hit this Memorial Day weekend, which is always nice. Great to go see friends and family. Yeah, I'm excited. But not more excited than I am right now to be talking about Death Blow. Let's say hi to the chat real quick. Tell the lore. There's number 1 in the chat and number 1 in our hearts. That makes you.
You're number 1.
And of course,
Hail to the king, baby.
yes, hail to the king. We have Twisted Dreams coming in second. I think that's the first time that this man right here has come in second in the chat. Congratulations to you.
Subject notes. The extraction theory papers. Am I the only one who did the reading?
Yep.
Was I the only one doing the reading? Yes. As always, you are, my friend. Good to see you. The Star Wars Marvel purist. I love it. Says 90s comics got a bad rap. So many great 90s books. That's a fact, my friend.
Thank
That
you
is
for
a
being
fact.
here.
We appreciate you as always. Mark Penguin's in the house says congratulations on the 250 episodes. Thank you, my friend.
Mr. Penguin! A penguin is a bird that cannot fly. I am a man. I have a name.
And his name is Mark Penguin. Good to see you. John Epples in the house says happy anniversary.
Yes.
Oh, maniversary. Maniversary.
I'll take that.
Yeah, I'll definitely take that.
Yeah.
Heath Ward is in the house, member of the channel. Congratulations on the 250 episodes. Thank you, everybody. We appreciate it. It's been a fun ride. First member in the chat, you get this. And of course, Heath.
Afternoon. Things like sex in here.
Michael Pritchard's in the house. He says, Jim Lee was never a fan of Frank Miller. He told me so when he was drunk and crying on a stack of Sin City comics. Start that rumor right there. I like it.
I like it.
Good to see you, Michael. Lark Barks in the house says, hey, y'all, what's up? What's up with you? I like the name. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Sheldon Martin, member of the channel, is in the house.
Pegging isn't new for me, friendo, but it is for Disney.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We also have Edwin in here saying hail to everybody. Hail to you. Before we get started, everybody, let me just say, wherever you're watching, hit the like button, share it out, let people know we're live, whether you're on X, whether you're on YouTube. Come over to the YouTube channel. Subscribe to the channel, like it, do all the stuff you need to do. Help this channel grow. Let's roll. John, let's get into this.
Do it.
Well, we're going to do it. We're doing it right now.
Rough and raw and dirty and dry.
Right. Raw and let's go. All right. Let me bring this up real quick. Before we jump really into this art, let me talk for fuck. Okay.
Always something.
We have so many different intros to the show. Every show is different. Every show is different. Okay. It's Thursday night. I'm feeling good. Welcome to
Art and Stuff, your favorite podcaster's favorite show about comics and art and stuff. 25 years in the business on technicality, over 40 years consuming and collecting the comic book medium in many formats.
Oh, yeah.
Like Norman, my skills are the baits. I've been killing it since days of B-Boy belt buckles. The editor extraordinaire. Those that know. Gifted narcissist with a dedicated personality. Smoother than your days in underoos. Creator type 1. The only one. Except no duplicates. Jersey's finest. Sean Ahrent. It was with me as always. My brother and I.
I'm the very talented, the very sexy, the very distinguished, always narcissistic, but never vain, staunch defender Rob Liefeld and Gina Carano, and lover of all things 90s. Joseph Michael Sonntag, or Joe M Sonntag if you prefer, or as the Pope likes to call me, JMS, or as the chat likes to call me, Ronan Joe. Welcome to the show, and as always, what an awesome show we have for you tonight, because now we're going to circle back to where I was before I forgot. We're going to be looking at Death Blow, pretty much only the art that Jim Lee did. And the reason we wanted to do this is we wanted to talk about the influence that Frank Miller's Sin City had on some of our favorite artists. And I settled on Death Blow. We could have done the Shadowhawk Zero, where Rob Liefeld kind of did a version of this as well, I feel. But I wanted to specifically do Death Blow because it was a big comic for me when it came out. So we're going to look at some of the darker image stuff, Death Blow issues 1 and 2. And then we're going to get into a discussion of how the 90s is still kicking ass and how we have been preaching shit for the last 5 years, right?
Yes.
And Rob Liefeld kind of came out and absolutely backed us up on that. And we're going to put
without
it
knowing it.
without knowing it, he did, and we're going to take that, right?
And we're going to spread that rumor like nobody else knows.
Oh, we're spreading it.
Yeah,
we're spreading it. Henry's in the house of the Joe Cool crew.
I'll take it.
Hey, you motherflockers, what's up? What's up with you, brother? Good to see you. The Don's in the house, member of the channel.
Donarino
Says Joe Sean and stuff 250. Congratulations, my brother, and thank you.
Thank you
so much. Blue Boy Comics is in the house.
Blue, you're my boy. Great avatar.
Titty Thursdays, let's go.
I
like that. Let's get some tits in there, you know. Let me add you guys to the show. There you go, down there. We have
Rick Saylor.
Rick Saylor in the house, member of the channel. Here we go.
The common thread in all of my failed schemes is human stupidity. People are just too stupid to accept me as their leader.
Facts. The world would be a better place. Yeah.
Yep.
The Don said Saturday in the studio we were drawing the Max.
Nice.
Apex Comics in Kitty Flips. I don't know what Kitty Flips is, but
Kitty
Max
Flips.
is awesome, and shout out to Apex.
Yeah,
unless
Apex.
Shout out.
Apex has been around since Jump Street too.
Hey, he's been around for a while.
Yeah.
We gotta get back on. It's been a second since he's been on, I think. Or did we just have him? I don't know. I lose track.
I do too much drugs.
I'm getting old. My memory's going. You know.
Yeah.
It's
Syphilis in the head.
Syphilis in the head. I like it. Let me see.
Mhm.
Do something real quick. Can I do anything with that? Nope.
Oh, that's
Okay.
so
Never mind. Death Blow, everybody. I want to talk about
Yes.
real quick. Sin City came
Yes.
out in 19. Now I'm drawing a blank.
1991, maybe 1991-ish.
Somewhere around there. Let's just go
Where's
with
Kayla?
that.
She knows everything.
She would be like, no, it came out. Anyway,
Yeah.
Frank Miller came out with
Love
this,
you.
the Sin City style, the black noir style, which just it revolutionized stuff, right? It was nobody had really seen it, at least in the mainstream. I guess it was in the indie comics with Dark Horse, right? Sin City came out.
Japanese art style as well. I forgot the actual name for it with the big brushy black thick lines. Rob went over this in our observations. I don't remember it because I have the memory of an amoeba, but
Yeah.
that's where that pigeon came from.
But it was so popular that you had a lot of artists wanting to copy that style, which is what happens. You know,
Yeah.
like let's address that for a second. There's nobody ripping off people, you know, per se, unless you absolutely draw the specific style that that person's drawing. But there's influences, right? And a popular artist is going to influence other artists. A popular style is going to influence other styles. People are going to adopt it and work on it and make it their own. And you saw guys like Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld do that in their books. Rob Liefeld did a book called Shadowhawk Zero for Jim Valentino, and he did a very much of kind of this style. It's very unique, very cool. I didn't have it, so we couldn't look at it, but maybe we'll figure it out someday. But I did have
we'll get
Death
to it.
Blow, and Death Blow is the closest thing I think, very close, as we're going to see some panels that Jim does. And there was no hiding it. You know, Jim came out and said, like, I wanted to do a book that was inspired by the Frank Miller Sin City style of art, and I thought it was awesome. I thought Jim absolutely killed it here, coming off of Wildcats, taking a little bit of a break and knocking out Death Blow, and some amazing art, and some of my favorite that he does. And I like the fact that he can kind of do different styles here when you get into this, and I would like to see him do another Death Blow book. Not that did you see the it was a short story Death Blow he did, I think, for the Wildstorm anniversary book that came out not too long ago. You know what I'm talking about?
I know the book. I don't remember the art. I just know the recent piece he did of Death Blow, which kind of pissed me off. You know, seeing what we saw. Well, no, hear me out. Seeing that.
What are you talking about? I'm
piece,
trying to find it. Yeah.
Seeing this beautiful piece of art, like, and then like we got Rush Part 1. I was like, I was kind of disappointed. I was very disappointed.
Did anybody see that interview with Jim Lee and Jeff Loeb though, talking about Hush?
Oh, was that a cover-up job? If I hadn't seen one, that was like because nobody understood what was going on, and they're like, "Here, let's explain what's going on to you idiots," because this book is rushed.
But I think it also it backs up some of the stuff I was saying. Jim Lee, and maybe when we do Batman, what number is that? 160. We do Batman 160 next week. I'll bring up part of that interview so you guys can see what I'm saying, but it kind of backs up some of the stuff I thought. Where the hell is this picture? How far down on this page? There it is. It's I mean, it's not high res, but I'm gonna bring this up for you guys real quick because
it's magnificent.
I saw him do this the other day, and I was just like, yes. So anybody thinking that Jim Lee has lost a step? No, because look at that. That is
so
gorgeous.
good. Yeah,
that is gorgeous. It's not high res, so I'm gonna zoom in a little bit, but we're gonna pixelate. But that is beautiful. Like, give me more of this.
Yeah. It's not even that rendered out. It's just solid blacks and techniques and gestures that, like, fuck it. Hey, give me all this. You know,
yeah,
like,
which is pretty much what this style did, right? You know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Hey, you even have my top comment here. You know?
Look at you.
Look at me. I don't like to brag, you know, but I
like
will.
That from me. But you know what's great about Death Blow is like I've had this conversation with Rob. I've had this conversation with a bunch of other friends where Jim is at his best when he's ciphering off of other artists and being inspired by.
Yeah.
Wildcats 1 to 4. It was good, really good. One of my favorite shit.
Oh, it was amazing.
He had nobody to cipher off of except for himself. and there was parts where, as great as it was kind of a little bland. He did Darker Image, and then like 1, 2, maybe 1 and 2 of Death Blow, but he came back and did Wildcats 5 and up, and like that shit was fire.
Oh man,
like that took it to a whole new level of his art.
I loved Wildcats 1 through 4. Is basically the X-Men style of art, which is fine because that's what we loved about them. Yeah, Wildcats 5 through 7 at least, because I think he got some assistance on 8.
Yeah,
I think
Brett did some stuff, and
Campbell. But he came out and absolutely killed it. But taking that break in between doing Death Blow, I think really helped spark some inspiration.
Yeah.
Sure. Before we get going, Smiling politely says Frank Miller ashamed Jim Lee for Death Blow, ripping him off, right? I wish he just let him cook. I love the art. Next level for Jim. Yeah, he did. Frank Miller wasn't happy. And I guess you can't really blame him, right? I mean, you got some of the most popular artists in the industry at the time with Jim Lee, who was probably the king. I don't care what anyone says. Like, if you guys didn't grow up in the 90s, you probably don't remember how on top or how over, to use a wrestling term, Jim Lee was with the fans, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, that dude was the best artist of a generation, and everybody thought so. We all had our favorites, yeah, but Jim Lee was like always top, always king. So you get Frank Miller coming and doing his thing, making his splash, getting his recognition for Sin City, and then you have the most popular artist in the game, in his opinion, ape his style. So I can understand where Frank Miller is coming from in that aspect. Me, I don't give a shit because I thought it was cool,
Yeah.
And Frank, he did his thing, and he gets noticed for it. But yeah, Frank did come out and say he threw shade at Jim at some articles or something. I can't remember, but he was not happy about it. Death Blow Wolverine Punisher in this style, that'd be cool.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Not Scott's inks on this. No, this was all Jim Lee, which was cool because he was always rocking with Scott Williams. But for this kind of style, you couldn't draw this and then have Scott ink it. Like, you had to be the one inking this because this is basically an inked style.
This is pure energy off the gesture, just on the go.
And because you're doing the whole black and white thing, I mean, you really couldn't have, in my opinion, it might have been able to be pulled off, I guess, but I don't think you could have had somebody else come in and ink over pencils that were trying to bring out this kind of style. This was like really loose pencils. Jim went in, rendered it out in the black and white. I think that's the way it should be. Here's one of the more updated shots of Death Blow over the years. Not quite the same style as you can see.
No.
And I think this might have been, maybe this was what, I don't know, was it the Wildstorm 25th anniversary that came out and it had that Death Blow story in it? It was like a 10-page story.
Good.
I didn't like it.
Remember Brett's stuff.
I didn't like it because it was drawn in this kind of style, more of a Jim Lee traditional style, although the colors tried to come in and give it that kind of,
ink wash.
Right. And it's just, Jim, if you're going to do Death Blow because you established him in that style, needs to stay in that style. It doesn't work. So let's get into some of this. Des Kelly's in the house. What's going on, man?
What's up, Des?
Those fold out pages in Wildcats, nothing. Oh yeah, Wildcats 5. Oh
yeah. Man. Oh dude. Yeah.
We went over that book a couple years back, and it's just it's so gorgeous, man.
So gorgeous. So gorgeous. You know what? There's the Wildcats trade and then the Cyberforce trade. I guess they're omnibuses.
Yep.
Both have different paper stock. I think the Cyberforce one has better paper stock for the color quality in it, if you will.
Okay.
Because it has the killer. They both have color synced in it.
Yeah, I don't have both. I don't think I've got the Cyberforce one, but I don't have the other one.
I got the Wildcats. We should do a comparison one day of like. Well, I don't know how well they would translate over.
Well, yeah, you probably won't be able to tell over.
Yeah. But whatever's.
Henry says, I like this art style better. Everything is not drowning in bullshit overdone cross-hatching. I hate cross-hatching. It looks like shit. I don't care what artist it is. I will disagree with you on the cross-hatching. I love cross-hatching.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's one of my favorite things. I love the rendering cross-hatching aspects. I do it a lot in my own art too. But I will agree with you that this style that Jim has is very unique. And I would love to see him he hasn't really revisited this style in a long time. I'd like to see him do it again. Because we're going to see like the simplicity that he goes into very Frank Miller, very Sin City inspired. Um, as you're going to
It's
see, like
raw,
just
but it's
raw, very
calculated.
raw. Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
it's calculated. That makes sense.
So this starts out. So this is the deluxe version that I've got, digital version. So it gives us a story from Image, Darker Image, um, one, which they never made any other issue.
Yeah.
So
Was that a fumble on those guys' part? Like, I think Rob
I think
even
it
brought
was.
that up on the recent podcast.
Yeah, because wasn't it
Like,
supposed to be a series where
I
all
believe so.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
supposed to have introduced characters, short stories that they would
Yeah.
branch off after that, but after issue 1, it kinda fell apart,
Yeah.
which was a great concept. Like,
Great
Darker Image
concept.
was awesome. You had Blood Wolf, you had the Max, and then you had, Deathblow, and I was like, "Man, this"
Yeah.
when that book came out, I was like, "This is fantastic." I remember just loving it so much.
I remember, well, my dad would get me my weekly books, my monthly books, you know, you do each show or school, whatever. But I remember finishing in 6th grade. We were allowed to leave school to go out to lunch at that time. Went out to lunch to this place we would go, and across the street was Sam's candy shop, you know, whatever.
Oh,
Picking this up too, and then
yeah.
walking back to school, ripping it open, and just fucking devouring it before my dad came home from Manhattan from work. And man, was I inspired for that fucking day and a half.
This was back before when I was a kid. We had internet, but I didn't know that you could follow
Nothing to
anything.
this
All I
extent.
had, yeah,
Yeah.
not to what it is today. All I had was like Wizard and stuff, and I didn't
Yeah.
really read a lot, which you guys all know. So I opened this book, and it blew me away because I was not expecting this from Jim Lee. And at
Yeah.
first, I'm going to tell you, to be completely honest, the first time I read it or I looked at the art, I didn't like it as much because I was really into the clean finish X-Men Wildcat stuff. It took me a second to get into it because I didn't understand it as a kid. I'm like,
Mhm.
I just didn't understand what the hell was going on, but I grew to appreciate it pretty quickly, and now I love it. Yeah, just we're not doing a book review as much as we are going to do a kind of more of appreciating comic book art style with this show, and just really dive into the art aspect of. Honestly, this looks like it's fun as hell to draw. I
Oh
have
yeah.
always kind of thought to myself, like, I would like to do something like this one day.
Mhm.
Maybe not in an actual book, but maybe a pinup, just to try, just to see if I could get the idea of the silhouettes and just the rawness and everything that they do. And that's one thing that stood out. Now, if you just did a black and white version of this, which I think would be awesome,
Yeah.
but one thing that stood out is, unlike Sin City, they put color into this, and I thought Joe Chiodo, and whoever else lent their colors to this book did a good job of giving it its own appeal. And I almost think that Jim took the style that Frank was doing and improved upon it when it came to the book. I know it might be blasphemy to some people, but the look of this book, I think, still had its own unique look because of the way it was colored, and not just a straight ripoff of Sin City because it wasn't a black and white book. I mean, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the colors, um, I want to say update it or modern it because it was only about a year or so apart. But with what they did with the compute with the colors, it gave it this noir vibes. You know, the cinematic vibes, like watching a movie. Like, cause look at that one panel of that one gentleman with the fat lip. It
Yeah.
looks like a black and white film.
Yeah,
You
the colors added so much to it because it wasn't just a black and white comic. Now it had some style to it. Obviously the red war paint that he had on, I thought was really, really awesome. And Joe, there's the next panel. He throw in these greens and these yellows
Yeah.
into it as well to kind of offset the grays. And it's just something just so appealing about it. Just breaking down style. No cross hatching really in this style whatsoever. It's just hard, thick black lines, but then you get all of the sketched out negative lines within the black itself to kind of give it that texture, give it that rawness, kind of like what Frank Miller would do. But Jim Lee was kind of also experimenting with, like, what can you take Frank's style and then go a little bit further, and that's how I look at this.
Yeah. Especially look at that panel. Like the second one, like that is insane.
Oh, the face here. Yeah,
that is crazy.
just
It's
all the different lines up
reverse.
in
Yeah.
here. That is so sick, so cool. And the cool thing about this is, being that it's so heavy black, your eye still makes out the nose,
The
the chin
composition.
line.
Yeah.
It's not just like this blob of stuff. Like you still make it out, which is what Frank Miller did too. It was a really good job. But
Yeah.
look at this double page spread. You had the Jim Lee aesthetic of the posing, the positioning, and then you just had all this beautiful, brutal detail, but still not so rendered out. It was still a rawness, like you were saying to it. Just man, it's just so good. So it's inspiring.
No, I think the most rendering we get is on his arm hair.
You're right. Yep.
You know.
Yep.
It is rendered. Don't get me wrong, the whole thing, but it's more blocky, unconventional, artsy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
but not
definitely.
as technical. So.
In a lot of lines, like kind of mud together, and just Hale Lore said, "Deathblow kind of sounds like the nickname of a woman who gives great head." I agree.
I definitely agree on that one.
That. Paulus Arts is in the house. I thought Jim and Frank said that he gave him his blessing on the style change. Maybe that was later on. I think that's probably later on. I mean, Frank did come out in like one of the magazines, whether it was Wizard or one of the other magazines around at the time, but he made it well known that he was not happy. The other artists, I don't know if he called Jim out by name, but I think he said heavily indicated so everybody knew that he was talking, because it was after Death Below came out and it was a hit. People loved it, and he came out kind of admonishing it. So I think everybody really knew that it was that he was not happy with Jim at that moment in time. Yeah, absolutely, smiling politely. And I think that's the thing that makes it stand out more than anything. That's why this to me was never a rip-off book. It was never a Sin City book, because it had its own unique. It was familiar to that style. If anybody liked the Sin City stuff, you see what Jim was doing, you're like, man, this is really cool because it resonates with you. But then at the same time, it's different because it had some color, even though it was very saturated, it had color to it. So it just gave a completely different feel than that of the Sin City books. And I think that's good, because you left that be what it is. You didn't completely ape Frank Miller's style, because that was Sin City. Like, don't do that. You did something completely different. So shout out.
Do you think this would work if it was colored?
I mean,
it would look cool.
It would still look cool. Yeah. I would like to see this in just a straight black and white. I'm sure, I guess I could throw it on Photoshop and pull the colors out of it and get a look for myself. But I think it works better with this kind of color. Like Michael is saying, like, this story straight black and white is awesome. And I agree, it probably is, as far as like enjoying the art. But I think it works better for me because it's colored. Because you have these tones from Chiodo and whoever else is doing the colors. I think that's why, for me, it works so well. And we're going to get into some of these gritty pages. Okay. So this stuff right here, the silhouettes breaking the panel, straight white, like, he's really... Darker Images had a lot more color in it. You go to issue 0, issue 1. I don't know what this is, if this is issue 1. Or if they put 0 first. And he really is starting to heavily do a little bit more of the Frank Miller isms. But look at this face. Look at this gnarly face.
Look at those lines. It's kind of, it reminds me of a bit of Mobius. Like, there's more black into it, but just there's like a... I'm going to hell. It looks like if Michael J. Fox tried to ink a comic book.
Oh, jeez. Shout out to Michael J. Fox.
Shout out to Michael J. Fox.
Come on the show one time. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that... So, I mean, like, the character obviously is really old. He's wrinkled. Yeah. Right. And so the reason why this style is so fun, it gives you the liberties to go in and just do such unconventional lines, and it just looks awesome. Right. You'd never do this in a regular comic. Right.
That's a good word for unconventional lines. Yeah.
And
see right Lynch. There that guy with the eye patch, like those dots, like the little nicks, like on his face. Like that's not normal. That's maybe a sketch that Jim would. I don't know. Like it's not Wildcats. It's not X-Men. It's not Batman.
Right?
It's such a departure from what he's known for that. It's awesome, regardless.
And that's why I think it threw me off as a kid, because it wasn't the stuff that I'd normally seen from him at the time. And I'm like friggin', I'm still 12 years old. Yeah, 11, 12 when this came out. So very young, and getting so much into Jim Lee's art, getting into the X-Men, the Wildcats. It was kind of weird to see this style, and I didn't appreciate it until later. Because I'm just like, where's the color? Where's all the detail? Like my mind, it couldn't handle it, I guess, so to speak. I'm just like, I don't understand it. But looking back, I mean, just, oh man. And I
Those
wonder how
faces.
long it really took him to do this, because yeah, he's inking it, so it probably took a little bit, but the freedom and the fact that you're not trying to draw things perfectly, right? Like you got the structure there, but you're not putting a lot of detail on like this character here. This is basically outlined with a little bit of folding in his clothes, but then just straight wide open negative space, right? This is black with just the
Like did he use whiteout, or did he chisel it out with like a razor to get those effects? Like,
that's what I was kind of wondering too. I wonder what he inked this with, whether it's pens or if it was like a nib or something. But I'd imagine to get those kind of effects, to get these effects, I think you almost have to use a pen to just go straight black and then go back in and use the pen on the black to bring those out. Because otherwise, that'd be a tedious work to try to ink, around lines. You know what I'm saying?
Or look at the general in the back of him with the eye patch. You see those thin lines by his neck area in the background. That's either a very thin brush or just a pen. And like, I don't know if it's a big micron pen or one of those.
It could have been, yeah.
Those really expensive ink ones.
I'm not
very jiggery. Like the face to the left.
I'm not an expert like when they started to really use the pens over like the nibs and the brushes.
Yeah.
I somebody like Frege could probably tell you, because he's an expert when it comes to.
He was there.
Well, yeah, he was there, in this time, but yeah, to me, it's got to be brush and pen work, maybe some nibs. I don't know.
Yeah.
AZHQ says best thing for me back then about Death Blow was the Cybernary previews. Such a shame the artist passed away before. Yeah. I did forget that it was a flip book. So on the other side was Cybernary. And
Nick Manbat.
Nick Manbat, thank you. Was a hell of a fun artist. Matched this style, so that kind of dark artist on this book was cool, and yeah, he passed away way too early. Way too early. Oh, sweet. I'll send a link to the Wildstorm trade paperback that collects Wildstorm issues 1, all of black and white. No, oh, sweet, dude. Sweet. I would love that, man. Thank you. Okay. Jumping in here and cruise through some of this stuff. Just, again, the rawness of these panels. How some of these panels just bleed right into each other. But the storytelling is great.
Yeah. It's like
heavy shadows. Yeah, I thought the same thing when I was going back and reading this the other day. I was like, man, I haven't read this probably since I was a kid, if I read it at all. I was like, I'm gonna go read the first issue, and I thought the same thing. I was like, he was heavily inspired by the opening of Predator in this scene, hands down. Which is one thing I loved about the guys in the 90s, is taking that pop culture influence, whether it was Dale with the Predator, Dale with Terminator, Rob with Terminator, all that kind of stuff. Bringing that into the comics was really cool. Nowadays you do it and people would be like, they bitch because they got nothing else to do.
You're an original.
But back in the day, you see something like this, it connects your mind with a movie you saw, and you're like, oh, this is cool. Like, loved it. Even though this is a very simple panel, I love the fact that you got the reverse silhouettes, and then the heavy blacks, and again the way background is a silhouette as well. And it's just obviously the colors bring it out, but man, I just love it. And again, I love the fact that it breaks the panel and goes into the white background of the pages, which I think makes a lot of this stuff work when it bleeds. Like it's muddy, but it's also very, very clear. Like, look at this dude right here. Look at the art on this. Like just heavy lights, just fading right into the background there. Not that much detail. Man, he must have had fun doing this.
And how long did it take him to do this page? Maybe 2 or 3 hours tops, because it just looks really brushy and just some gritty cleanup.
Yeah, I feel like he knocked this stuff out real quick. And probably, trying to keep with that Frank Miller style. If you check out Frank Miller's art, it's not aesthetically correct all the time.
For Sin City.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in some of his other stuff too. Dark Knight Returns started to kind of go
Oh
that
yeah.
blocky
How can I forget
style.
that?
I'm not talking
Well,
about like the old Marvel stuff that he did.
I'm thinking of like Daredevil and like Wolverine. Yeah, how
Mm.
can I forget Dark Knight? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
You're
that
right.
stuff was great.
Yeah,
Like that was more of the
yeah.
House Marvel style, and it
Mhm.
looked amazing. And then when he got to his more artsy stage with Dark Knight and Ronin, was it Ronin
Yeah.
47,
Yep.
300, Sin City, all them. He was really, really experimenting with that, and stuff got kind of wonky. He wasn't really worried about if a hand looked too big or if a finger looked too big, and I feel like that's
Yeah.
kind of what Jim Lee was going for with this. If you look at Lynch's hand, it's a well drawn hand, but it's not to the style, not to the detail that Jim would normally draw. It's
No.
very loose.
He's relying more on the silhouette of the blacks and the construction of the figure.
Uh, let
Is this
me
an insert panel? Yeah, are
let me
these
get
new?
through. This is part of the. Get out of here! Why can't I do that? On my iPad, I can just click it and then just cruise through a bunch of pages because I don't care about. No offense to Tim Sale and
This
Trevor
is that
Scott.
that must be the other Scott guy, Trevor
Yeah,
Scott.
I got.
Great
It's not.
gestures,
Yeah,
great
it's not bad.
storytelling.
I want to look at Jim Lee's art. So let me get back down to. I think that was 0. I really do think that was issue 0.
It had to have been because that one thing where you're like, the coloring. I think that was the cover for it.
Yeah, and this it gives a little bit of a background of Cray, who is exacting some kind of revenge for a fallen friend that was kidnapped and tortured on a mission. He's going back to kill the leader. They put
You should
out
have been caught. You know that's on you.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
They take a squad of his own older or men that he worked with before to track him down, and then he goes in and finds all this kind of cult activity. And that was another thing that was quite a bit different than Sid's. They leaned into this, right? A little bit more of the spiritual stuff in this, not just noir detective stuff. So that,
Superhero aspect of it.
yeah, added something into it. So again, it kept a unique feel to this book, to the character. But
Which is
let's get through him and back to some Jim Lee art here. I think that's Trevor Scott.
Jesus Christ, this is taking too long.
Yeah, it is a lot. Like Jim,
when's he gonna rip open that bull?
the only in a second, yeah. That's issue 1 is the bull.
Yeah.
But that's the only bad thing about this is that Jim Lee didn't draw enough of this book. Here's the cover to issue 1, which if you got the original cover, I think it was just the black cover with the
matted and partly glossy
yeah.
to make this image pop.
Stick
I think
out.
it would have worked. Yeah, I think if they did this in a red like this right here.
Well, they did. This was a second printing.
Was it? Okay.
I think so. I believe the second printing was this cover with the red.
Oh, that's red.
And,
okay.
Yeah, and it popped out. I believe because I think I've got both versions.
Okay.
But the original one is just a straight black one with the red death blow, and then if you like moved it, you could see all the lines that were like a glossiness on the mat or whatever.
Yeah.
Smiley said James Cameron was a huge inspiration for Wildstorm.
Wildstorm, Extreme.
All of them.
Probably Top Cow. All of them.
Yeah. Like I said, those guys, they were smart, right? Because they were taking the stuff that was popular of the day. Also going into the manga, into the anime, which was catching steam around that time in the United States. People were really getting into the anime movies and all that kind of stuff. And so they were going in there, they're taking elements of that. They were looking at what was cool about pop culture, action movies, Terminator, Cameron, Spielberg, like all these big things, and bringing that pop culture into comics, which is why I think it resonated so much with the younger readers like us, because we were seeing the stuff in comics that we were already seeing everywhere else.
Daily lives, yeah.
Yeah, where some of the older generation weren't really doing that. Like they were still kind of sticking to their guns of doing their normal storytelling, but this was a breath of fresh air with the 90s stuff, with the Image guys. And I think that's one of the reasons why they rose to such prominence in the early mid 90s. I need to go back and read these. I used to love the art. I read the first issue. What's going on, Iodine? 74. Good to see you, man. YSA's in the house.
Our guy.
Looking at the Jim Lee work, says
say less.
Say less. Sorry.
Sorry.
My bad. Red was a metallic or a foil, wasn't it? Oh, I don't know.
The red was a metallic, but I believe it was embossed as well.
Yeah, it was the same kind
To
of
some
style, but it
degree.
was red. Yeah, I'd have to go look at it again. It's in my collection somewhere.
Oh wait, you see, I'm slow. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the font for the first Death Blow.
Oh, the font. Yeah, the font I believe was a foil font.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of those gimmick covers that was so awesome in the 90s. John was saying I absolutely love this, and Rob's version of his style still looked to it now for inspiration.
Oh
I
yeah,
agree.
yeah. That Shadowhawk Zero was actually laid out by our guy Carl Alstater, and then Rob went in and heard stories of him inking it on his the floor of his kitchen with these big brushes.
Yeah,
just going to town. Like, that's fucking awesome. Oh, and I got the whole issue. I think I got the whole issues, the cover to it in my hands once.
Really?
Yeah,
Man,
yeah. Maybe
look
New
at
York, I don't
you.
remember.
Some might brag.
I will,
but not you. Oh, you will. Yeah. Sitting on the exercise bike trying to counteract my type 2 diabetes. Oh shit.
Oh, well, you know what will help you cure your type 2 diabetes? Back type 1, an action adventure story with real life implications that faces off terrors from our past. How can our past save our future? You're going to love it. It's going to cure your diabetes. You know why? Because I was once a diabetic as well until I created this fun, fantastic story called Type 1. No, I'm kidding. I'm still a diabetic, but I know the struggles, brother.
Sark, what's going on? Good to see you. It says Death Blow. Damn, this takes me back.
Nice.
Facts, man. Facts. Jay Lee Wildcats miniseries art I couldn't get when it released. The only Marvel around this time I really enjoyed was the first Gambit series in '93. It was pretty dark. Jay Lee one was awesome. Jay Lee he was great in the 90s.
Look, I love his 90s shit. His new stuff is beautiful and exquisite.
It's great. Yeah.
It's boring.
There's something we can talk about later. When we get in, even when we get into the 90s talk, we can kind of talk about how some of that has changed a little bit, but let's cruise through this because we gotta pick up the show. Let's go.
Yeah.
Here we go. Officially into issue 1, which I think he only really did 1.5 issues of this besides Darker Image. But just, oh man. So issue 1 comes out, you get this just beautiful, heavily inspired. This is more Sin City inspired than issue or Darker Image was, I would say. It's just beautiful. I mean, the lines, come on, that is so fun.
Thick.
The style just allows you to do whatever,
Yeah.
Acts of violence.
Even his storytelling and his layout is so unconventional, but it works.
Yeah, a lot different than anything he was really doing or has done since.
Yeah.
He was really experimenting with this. This is why I give him a shout out. Even though it was inspired by Frank Miller, he was still doing his own experience. Like, what can I do that's different? And it did. This didn't look like any other Jim Lee art on the shelf at that time. Almost to a point sometimes where you're like, you look at some of this stuff as a kid and you're like, is this really Jim Lee? Like, it looks like the structure, but it doesn't really look like Jim Lee. Like, this stuff is gorgeous. And obviously the blood that they put on there and just, having the reds really pop out.
And going back to the Mobius aspect of it, like those thin lines that he uses for these corpses, and it's just cool how now he's just kind of putting that together, that Frank Miller Mobius type of aesthetic, and just making it work, like that European vibe.
I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't really think about Mobius at all. But now that you mention it, I can see that. And that's why this book stands out, because it's not a straight ripoff. Like, it's got the heavy blacks, it's got the noir, the negative, the whites offsetting the blacks and all that kind of stuff. But you're right.
Yeah.
It is almost like he took some of that Mobius stuff as well, put it in here, maybe a lot of different influences, and made it his own. Like, that's the thing. Like, Death Blow is absolutely a book that was made into its own. It's unique in that aspect.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love that.
This is beautiful.
That is just so good.
Yeah.
Again, just the freedom to be able to do this. And granted, I guess Death Blow is supposed to be a little bit of an older man in the story, which I never caught until I read through, because everybody calls him Old Man. They're tracking him down. So, who knows? Maybe he's because if you think about it, a lot of Frank Miller's characters were older, right?
Mm-hmm.
As far as like the hero, maybe not all of them, but some of them were, especially the Yellow Bastard.
Yeah.
Like that was an older lead character. So I think that's kind of like the influence that he got from this. This panel, let's just get to this.
I think he's just using razor blades to chisel out most of that shit.
You think so?
Especially right there for the rain. That's definitely razor blades or razors.
Interesting. You don't think it's just like a little bit of a white pen or white?
Well, maybe, but the energy that you get from cutting something, you really can't get.
I've never done it before.
From a brush or.
So technique-wise, you're saying he goes through and inks all this and takes a razor blade and cuts through it, but how would that keep the white?
Hear me out. No. Hear me out. Like you see, like these rough and raw, like there in the page up top, like there, like those techniques, like, and scroll up.
Oh,
like you see the finger and you see like maybe like the face right there, like those little white indications. Could be razor blades.
That'd be interesting.
Because you see how it's jiggerly and jaggedly, which I don't even know if that's a word, but it is now. Like that's.
I also wonder too if it's the scan.
Yeah.
Because this looks like there's a few pages in here looks like it's scanned from the comic itself.
Yeah.
And then there's others that look a little bit cleaner as it gets newer, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
that very well could be. But again, just artistically, just expression. That is just so good.
Yeah.
Just something just simple and just fun stuff. Love it. Heath Ward says it's definitely razor blade the way the lines break. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll leave to you guys. I'm not very knowledgeable, I guess, in the razor blades. 12 years old buying this. My folks asked what comic I'm reading. DW, it's like Spider-Man, Mom. Yeah. Don't worry. It's just like Spider-Man. The art even led me to Calvin Ern's Chapel series. Oh yeah.
Rest in peace to him as well. Another fantastic artist.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
We got Chuck Gibson in the house. What's going on? Said Miller ruined the whole thing with his crying. Is that why Jim stopped?
Who knows?
Because he only did like issue 1 and then half of 1 or half of 2, and that was it. And then either Tim Sale took over.
I believe it was Tim Sale.
Which
a lot of those covers weren't even like this. Like most of them were just kind of like deadlines, like that. Jeez.
Nice.
That European guy I just said, Mobius,
yeah.
Ish, and then just like solid block. It was really weird.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It was lazy. Look at this, just brushy. This is all brushy. It's great.
And again, like some stuff like this probably knocked out so incredibly fast. I mean, you just get the silhouette. So, I mean, like straight, there's some times he dips in here and it's just like a straight homage. In my opinion, it's an homage. It's not a ripoff to Sin City. And that's the negative, the reverse silhouette.
Sure.
There with the feet just going across. It was so good.
Yeah. Okay. That panel you just passed, this one we're going to get into, but the one up top, that, this looks a little, well, I want to say rushed, but like more brushy, he could have done this in maybe half hour, which is awesome. Don't get me wrong, but
this page was probably real quick.
Yeah. He probably just gestured in, the composition, a little Greeking here and there, and then just fucking went to town.
And honestly, it's probably why Frank kind of went to that style with Sin City, because it's a lot faster to draw. And knock things out. If you look at this panel, when I was talking about Jim has a lot of lines that don't connect. I mean, that priest face doesn't connect. That's the colorist coming in and completing that face, because there's an entire gap there where it just bleeds into the background, and whether or not Jim Lee was originally planning that to be that kind of aesthetic, that feel, if it was a straight black and white, the colorist went in and kind of rendered the face out a little bit. but there's a lot of lines that don't connect. And then you get a face like this, which is pretty good, well drawn.
Yeah.
A little bit not so much like the 90s Jim Lee that we came to know and love with the really sharp chins and all that stuff. Like this is a little bit more lifelike. Not lifelike.
Yeah.
Realistic.
Yeah.
And then
There's this where there's just this pure artistic awesomeness.
So good.
Like very, very Bill Sienkiewicz. Like look at the lines on the bricks. Like normally he would ruler those out. Like this just looks like he used either some I don't know, very thin pen or some sort of quill,
which
just kind of
I think too much ruler work can make something look
stiff and lifeless.
Stiff and flat and lifeless.
Yeah.
Whereas you can tell you use the rulers for the shape of the building and everything, but then you went into the detail and that looks like a lot of it's just straight freehand work, which gives it the raw energy that you're looking for. And I love how the side view of his face comes right off of the panel as well. Where it's almost to a point where this part, even though it's a tree or a bush or whatever,
it's his lips.
It bleeds right into his lips where it almost looks like like parts of his lips or a beard or something. Like I don't know if that was intentional, if that just happened. I'm assuming it was intentional. Jim Lee usually does stuff that's intentionally there. He's just, his mind works that way artistically. Yeah, a lot of these pages, I mean, fast. You got to think, if this was black and white, you're really only drawing this and this. Everything else is this. I mean, obviously this, that you're and a lot of this stuff, this isn't even drawn. This is put in probably Photoshop or whatever, early versions of Photoshop.
Sure.
But like, you think about that. You draw the structure in pencil and you go through and you ink basically half of this, and the rest just kind of brought out. And really, if the colorist wasn't separating this would just bleed. I kind of want to see the black and white.
Yeah.
No. I love this.
The longest thing that probably he had was time. It's waiting for the ink to dry to go and to do what he needed to do again, like with the white, with the highlights and the cutting with the razor blades and shit.
I'm telling you, obviously I'm not going to do this for Reaper Destroyer, but there is something that I want to experiment doing something like this. I have no idea what it's going to be, whether it's going to be a pinup or maybe, a backup story somewhere, but there's going to be a point in time before it's all said and done where I'm going to do something that's a very similar style to this because it just looks like fun. I just want to do it because of the fun aspect of it. Dennis Kelly says, great show, guys. As always, have to put on the feedback. Take care, all, and don't be a bum. Back type 1.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you. Guys, this is the 5-year anniversary on Stuff, episode 250. We are looking at Death Blow. We were looking at how Jim Lee was heavily inspired by Frank Miller's Sin City to create a very unique piece of art in the 90s called Death Blow, where he only did roughly 2 issues altogether when you throw in Darker Image and like half of issue 2. So hope you guys are enjoying it. Hit the like button if you haven't yet. Subscribe to the channel. Share this out. Let people know we're live. Jump in here. Be part of the conversation. We're kind of getting lost in the art because that's what we do for this episode.
Tag Jim Lee.
Tag Jim Lee. Yeah. But, lately we've been doing more reviews of stories, but this is we're going to jump back into old school and just appreciate the art and kind of geek out about all this. Smiling Politely says Jim did a few more Deathblow covers before he went back to his old style, probably in this document. If it's all of them. Yeah, they've got all the covers, I believe, in here. Yeah, he definitely did this before. I can't remember what year Wildcats 5 came out. 94? 93. Chuck Gibson said, that's what I heard. Miller was getting mad, so Jim stepped aside. I'm guessing it was an attempt to save an opportunity to work with Miller in the future. That makes sense. I mean, if he respected Miller so much and he found out that Miller was pissed off, I could definitely see Jim just, stepping aside for, the respect aspect of it, That makes sense. Some Mignola sensibilities. That's a good point, too. I mean, if you think about that, that could have definitely been an influence with this, too. So not necessarily straight Frank Miller, but you could have brought in Mignola, Mobius, and Miller and put it all together.
I know Mignola is still a big influence on Jim's gesture drawings, at least when he lays out figure work and panels and pages.
Yeah. I don't know what it is about this panel, but it's simple,
It's so cool.
but
Yeah.
it's so damn cool.
Yeah.
So damn cool. Henry says Frank Miller is probably jealous as Jim Lee was inspired by what Frank did with Sin City and took it to another level. Yeah, that's what we were talking about a little earlier. Like I understand why he would be upset and jealous about it because Jim Lee did kind of take what he was doing and then perfected and took it to the next level. That's a really good way to put it. All right, we're gonna get to the greatest cover in Wildstorm history.
This
is my in my opinion, this
okay.
is the greatest cover in Wildstorm history. You've
All
got
right.
Deathblow, awesome gesture here. The colors really make it pop with the orange and yellow popping out of the gray. You got the American flag in the background as he's defending it, all burning up. And he's like the last, just look at some of the lighting on this. I don't know, man. Like every time I see this cover, I fall in love with it. Hands
I
down.
love it. Yeah. It's definitely up there for me as well.
Yeah, to me, it's number one in the Wildstorm
Okay.
covers. I can't think of another one that artistically grabs me. Like there's some badass covers with Wildstorm, but this is the only one that just I stop every time I see it.
And you salute it
I salute it.
like a
I salute
patriot.
it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, it's absolutely my favorite. Agreed. Yes, sir. We got Paul Acevedo in the house.
What's up, Paul?
What's going on, man? I wonder if any of these were scanned in black and white, and inversed in Photoshop.
Maybe.
Probably. I know that what's his name? Richard Friend does that or did that a lot when he would be doing his Sunday shows, which I haven't seen those in a while. Is he still doing those?
I don't know. He's somebody we got to get back on.
Yeah, I'd love to talk to him again.
Boy. Was it Blaster Kid? Blaster Boy?
Blaster Kid.
Blaster Kid. Jeez, that's the most inspirational work I've seen in like years.
Yeah, I hope he comes out with it because it's such an amazing art to not put out there,
Yeah.
Was my favorite online profile pic. Hells yes.
Nice.
It's very in the fashion of Rambo and Commando. Yeah, I agree. O'Hare's in the house.
Nice.
Okay, he hasn't done it in a while. I didn't think so because I'm subscribed to his channel and usually he pop up every Sunday.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen him do. I've seen him post some stuff on Facebook, but I have not seen his streams. So I wonder what he's up to. Twisted Dream said I listened to the Batman Year One podcast last week. Whoever produced that made the comment great for listening at work. Nice. I have not looked at that yet or listened to it yet. Here we go. In issue 2, which he does not as many pages as I'd like, but the pages he does do is awesome.
Yeah. These are good. These are great. It's not as special as the first one, but it's really good.
Yeah.
It's really, really good, but not as great as the first one.
It's he probably had a little bit more time to do the first one and really experiment, and now he's getting into this one and telling the story. And who knows, Deadline, what's going on. This I love. Yeah, I will agree with you. I think it's amazing, but definitely looks like it has a little bit more structure.
Yeah.
Than the first issue. Seems like he was tightening it up a little bit. Let's say that. It seems like there's a little bit more tightening up with this, a little bit more detail. His old style kind of creeping in a little bit. But still, then you get some stuff like this where it's just like all that little sketchiness. So good. I love this cover, but the second glow underneath the barrel always bugs me. Why is it glowing like the barrel takes, or why is it glowing the barrel takes away from the glow? What? Why is it glowing like the barrel takes away from the glow in the barrel to me? And that's a lot of words packed in there, Rick.
Yeah.
I appreciate you, brother. I love you.
Know.
If you know Bloodshot from Valiant Comics, they also have the same kind of super soldier vibes. Yeah. I wonder when Bloodshot came out.
90.
It was after this, probably.
3-ish, 4-ish?
Right around the same time.
Yeah, 93-ish.
Okay. Yeah, still good stuff, like you're saying. I see what you're saying, Sean. Like, I feel like, yeah, a little bit of it is
More mapped out.
Yeah, a little bit more mapped out. A little bit more color put in it than the first one. A lot more oranges, a lot more yellows, hues to it than the first one. A lot more blues.
Still great. Like,
amazing.
Please don't get me wrong,
Amazing.
everybody in the chat. Like, this is still great. Just looks different, more polished in some areas.
That's probably a good way to put it. Definitely more
Yeah.
polished. You know, I wonder too if they were. Well, I don't know. I was gonna say if they were planning on doing more of the darker image, if maybe that first issue was more of a breakdown of the stuff that he was going to be putting into darker image. Yeah. And then darker image didn't happen. So he's like, let's just put out let's start a new series and we'll put out issue 1. And he had the art already done and then started scrambling around to doing issue 2 and then pieced out after that. Man, look at that arm.
That's crazy.
It is so wicked.
Yeah.
This is what I loved about the 90s stuff. Why some people bitch, because you got lines, you got muscles on top of muscles, veins on top of veins. But visually, when you think of comics as a visual medium, this is the kind of stuff I like to see. I don't need the realism.
No.
I don't need to see, the arm the way it would look. I want to see the arm the way that it's exaggerated to look because I want the fantasy element when I'm looking at comics, and this kind of stuff right here. Whether it was this style with Jim Lee or it was Dale Keown, doing his thing with the veins and the muscles on top of muscles. It was just something about the 90s that did this style so awesome. So
I
good.
need my characters to be on cycles and cycles of steroids like daily, just to pick up milk.
Yeah. Who do you think did the best job on weapons in the 90s image? Benitez?
I love Benitez's mailbox cannons and folder. Rob did great because Rob was
he did the
inspired
futuristic
from like anime and manga.
Yeah. I mean, Jim Lee always did really. If you're talking about more realistic stuff, that was Jim Lee. Even though he did do some like Appleseed type, like Grifter. Before Grifter started doing the more realistic weapons, he had the more futuristic weapons and early Wildcats.
Yeah.
But I'd say Jim Lee was definitely up there. Silvestri. I mean, those guys were more of the artists that would kind of draw them a little bit more the way the weapons should look. Where then you had Rob doing futuristic tech, because it's fun to draw. Like
I would go with Rob.
You're gonna go. I guess. What are you looking for?
For starting it off, but like, really, I'm always swiping Benitez's weapons. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like,
I have to go look at.
Just so fucking cool. Yeah, we need to look at Weapon Zero.
Oh yeah, we definitely need to do that.
Yeah.
100% got cleaner, less nasty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sean's right in that. Like, I didn't really pay attention when I was just enjoying the art, but now they brought it up. Yeah, issue 1 is definitely way more raw, way more muddy than issue 2. I want to see a man eat steroids like candy. The Liver King. Stephen Platt profit for the most juiced. That's true.
Oh yeah, he took that shit to the extreme. Pun intended.
Chuck Gibson said, I always told people I'm not trying for real. I'm trying for better than real. I agree with you on that. Jim Lee with the Punisher nail weapons realistically. Charest. Yeah, when you're talking about realistic stuff, Jim Lee, Charest, Silvestri, probably had it with the realistic stuff for sure. That's dope.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, some of the stuff, a little bit of, and it might have to do with the colors. I don't know. I want to say that the colors kind of feel a little different, like brought together a little bit more traditional.
Yeah.
Where that first book, it seemed like everything, even the colors, were a little bit more experimental. Issue 2 looks a little bit more like they're trying to bring it in a little bit, and maybe that was because of the Frank Miller bitching about it. They're like, let's make it a little bit more normal, because this right here, this is good. It's got that heavy blacks and all that stuff that he was doing, but the colors just make it scream a little bit more traditional comic book page,
And scroll back up to the page above this, like with the chick, I think, like that.
What, this one?
No, scroll down. Like that panel on the left. Scroll down.
Oh, down?
Your other down.
You mean
there you
up?
go, right there. Yeah. No, motherfucker. Yeah.
Okay.
The
Are you
girl with the
on a
bag.
delay? Are you on a delay from me?
I don't know. Are you?
I'm on the
Stop.
girl. Okay,
Stop.
you're on a delay for me. That's what it is.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm like, I'm on that. And you're like going down. Like,
Okay.
what do you want
All
me to
right.
do, man?
Go down on her. Like you
Oh,
see,
okay.
like he's using pens. Like I think maybe if this was in the first issue, he would have done a brush, but these are pens.
Yeah, there's definitely something different to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I hear you on that.
Like it's still really good. Don't get me wrong, but you could see the difference aesthetically, and that kind of like it's like what kind a bit of like when they replace an actor in like the third franchise, and you're like, wait,
Right.
he was black. How's he Indian? I don't
Rick
know.
Saylor says real guns are harder to draw, especially consistently page after page. Bubble guns you can fuck up and nobody bitches. That's true.
What I draw. Yeah, that's what I draw. Yeah,
I mean,
I don't want to draw realistic.
no, drawing real guns is a bitch. That's absolutely true. Which is why it might be a cheat, but a lot of my stuff is futuristic. Futuristic sci-fi. So I can take like a shape of a gun, but then I put my own kind of style on it because I don't want to spend all that time, drawing all the details of a gun. It's way too much time.
Look at Chap Yep. He drew some of the best futuristic guns. His Dutch character, like,
oh yeah.
I use that all the time. Like, if I need a cool cannon for streets, I'll look at Dutch. I'm like, oh, how do you do this?
John says your other down. I know, right?
Yeah.
To think they can likely animate in this style now, 10 out of 10 would watch. Yeah, that would be an awesome style. Cool. We got Noah in the house.
Noah, how's it going? I got your book in the mail a couple of weeks ago. Still haven't cracked it open because I'm got a lot on my plate.
I was going to say, yep, same thing too. I have not got a chance to dive into it yet, but I got it. It's actually sitting right over there. So shout out to you for getting that book out, man.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Everybody go check out Maverick. If you haven't backed it yet, I'm sure there'll be a second chance or something with issue 2 when that drops. So shout out to you, man. Good job.
Congratulations.
Great to hear from actual artists. Cheers, guys. Cheers to you.
Cheers to you.
Thank you for joining the show. We appreciate you. All right, let's get going on this. Love that shot. A little bit more of a traditional Jim Lee structured shot there. And a lot of this stuff almost kind of more falls into the traditional Jim Lee stuff. But again, the art is just amazing. Just not as raw as issue 1. I will agree with that. That's cool.
Yeah. Look, it's all great. It's all gravy.
Oh, I just noticed. So Lynch is getting skinnier. If you remember when he first made, Cray's got cancer in this.
Yes, reverse cancer.
But when Lynch first made his appearance, he had much more of a normal kind of male structure to his body, and then they started making him skinny. I think J. Scott Campbell was the one that started doing it a lot more slimmer, longer neck. And if you go back to issue 1 that we just looked at with Lynch, he was way more filled out, and now he's like, he lost 60 pounds from issue 1 to issue 2.
He's on that South Beach diet.
Yeah. I love that face there, though. Love it. Even though it's a little bit more structured.
Yeah.
He's starting to look a little bit more like Schwarzenegger in this book,
Yeah.
than he did in the first issue. Definitely a little bit more commando-ish. One of the most simple panels that pops in your head and like, oh, I'm going to do this. It's going to take me 2 minutes. It's like, I don't
even have to fill it in.
Yeah. Okay, and that's it. We're going to cover the cover here for issue 3, and that's all he did.
Oh, I don't think I've ever got 3, to be honest with you. So that's rad. That's a good cover.
I would say I've got issue 3, I've got issue 5 and 7, but he doesn't draw them, so I was always disappointed.
Yeah.
But yeah, the cover's great.
That's awesome.
The uplighting from the gate or the grid there. Wait, that's not what's going. Great. I went gate, grid. Neither of those are right.
Nah. You're close.
I just missed.
Almost there. Almost right on the edge.
Very Universal Soldier Dolph. That's
yes. Oh, I'm gonna watch that tonight.
That's
That
a
or Spy
movie.
Kids. I don't know.
That's a hard choice.
Yeah.
No, that's a great movie, Universal Soldier. Just the first one. Classic. But yeah, and then you get into the art's not bad, right? I mean, it's like, well, that's
Shout out to Tim Sale, you know.
it's
God
it's a
rest his
drop
dead.
off.
But yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
Won't speak.
love his stuff. But comparison from Jim Lee to this, it's like
It's just not. Yeah, it's just, it's just not. Let me see if I can I get let me get through all this.
Can I get a what?
This is a collection of the entire run.
And this looks more Sin City-ish than anything. From Tim Sale. See, there he's just doing those thin lines.
Yeah, that's pretty much. I think that's 5 or 7, issue 5 or 7.
Something 7.
Yeah, and it's pretty much not even close to the style he was doing before. Just thin lines, no blacks.
Like jaggedy lines.
Yeah, it's cool. I like it, but it's not.
Oh yeah.
It's not the same as what he was doing, which made Deathblow so special with darker image in issue 1. And then this is still just other artists doing. I mean, some of this stuff. I mean, this is
Tim Sale.
It's not for me, man.
I love it, but it's not what we just looked at.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's I don't know. They got some covers in the back.
I know Kayla would be yelling at us, be like, "Don't you?" No, we don't. But
oh shit.
That one's great. That's a great one.
Which one?
The cover, the green cover, yeah.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah.
See, at first I thought he was just re-showing this cover.
Very close to it, right?
Yeah, then I had to look. I'm like, ooh. That's beautiful.
Yeah, this right here. That's sick. That's so good. It's actually interesting to see the colorist actually colored part of his arm that's not an arm.
Yeah.
Because his arm is right here. And then, but he's like, I'm going to fill this in, make his arm even bigger. No, but yeah, this cover that's what's up. I want to do stuff like this. Yeah, in the future.
You know who does great shit like this? Shelby.
Oh, Shelby's great. Yeah.
Yeah,
he can definitely do that kind of style.
He just did like a special 94 issue where it was just like Frank Miller isms, and it's beautiful. We gotta look over that. I still haven't asked him if we could look at it, but like,
yeah,
I think he's gonna get mad. Like, come
on. That's badass.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I like that. See if we get to some more here. Try to cover Jim's art.
There we go. Okay.
I mean, it's
classical.
Very like this is he's now abandoned.
Yeah,
he's abandoned the kind of Frank Miller style and is right back to this is kind of like his Divine Right style.
This is 1996, 1997.
Yeah, Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Divine Right.
Yeah.
Troy Hubbs. Interesting.
Oh yeah, great inker.
I guess I never realized that he inked that piece. Oh, come on.
That one looked phoned in.
Yeah, this one was very phoned in. It's cool though. I like all the blood and stuff.
Yeah.
But he looked like he drew this in about 20 minutes. Yeah. Just got that gesture out. Well, maybe he did ink it. That's whoever colored it. So maybe a little bit more. But I do remember that cover.
Great gesture. I drew that gesture for everything.
I think this is Trevor Scott now.
Maybe.
Yeah, we're away from Tim Sale, which I actually kind of like. Well, maybe not there. Never mind. Maybe just for those few pages. He did some fill-in stuff. I was gonna say I think I like Trevor Scott on it more than Sale. And then this was a classic. This was a card, wasn't it?
Noah did an homage to this because I saw Mark had his out, and I'm like, oh, where did you get this Jim Lee thing? But I believe it was Noah.
Oh,
I believe
okay.
Noah did
Right
homage
on.
to if his character is called Maverick indeed, to that. Well done, Noah. Very proud of you, my guy.
Yeah, Brass by Richard Bennett. Brass was cool. Some
Oh,
fantastic
that
art in that.
was beautiful. Yo, Richard Bennett, his inks on Capullo for X-Force 24 was probably the best Capullo looked polished wise at Marvel.
Yeah, I remember you showing me that, and I was actually I was surprised. I was like, yeah, this looks fantastic. Like, did a great job of inking over him. That one with the nun was a promo poster, I believe. Okay, I just remember it. Yeah, the arm was so big it had its own aura.
Oh
Hell
yeah. Do you remember the one where he's holding a spray paint pen? I'm always
Oh,
right.
yeah,
You
yeah.
got to be more specific. A spray paint pan.
Can.
It says homage on it, but that arm is so jacked.
Oh, it's right here.
There we go. Hey, do you remember that?
Hey, did you remember this? Oh, it's right here.
No, yeah, I do. Inform me. But
yeah, that was like a back cover, or was it a?
It could have
Oh, he
been
changed it.
Wasn't it a graffiti? Wasn't it a can?
No, it was. Yeah. He changed it because
Oh.
there was a big over here. Yeah. So this is changed up. He just added a grenade because he did have a graffiti can, and there was a big image sign, and then it said Homage Studios.
Oh.
So you're right. You're absolutely right.
That's twice.
But this is this is kind of like a edit, I guess.
I remember the arm being more massive.
Yeah, I don't know. Or maybe he redrew it. But I know the piece that you're talking about. It was like the back cover of something.
Yeah, it was
I think,
a card. It wasn't.
yeah.
It was an ad.
It's Tim Sale, or it's not bad. Nothing, but like I'm here to see Jim Lee. Here to see some Jim Lee, damn it.
Jim freaking Lee.
Jim freaking Lee.
That's
Brett
rad.
Booth.
That's rad. There's our guy.
Early
Brett
Brett.
motherfucking Booth.
Yeah.
See, this is when Brett was really coming into his own. Like they're like
Backlash.
Oh yeah, like
the Backlash style.
Every 7 to 8 issues of Backlash, he will consistently jump up.
Oh yeah, it's a fact.
You know,
it's funny because you can track Brett by his faces.
Oh yeah.
You can track his era.
Of
art based on how he drew faces.
Yep.
Because he did a very similar face to a lot of his characters, which young artists. I do the same thing too. It's hard to kind of break away and do unique styles of faces, but this is you can see this, and right off the bat, I could tell it's Brett by Deathblow's face.
Yeah.
And then he did a specific body style too, kind of more the slim Art Adams, lanky style. What else we got here? Oh, and this is whatever this was used for, but that's badass.
Wizard 25.
Oh, that's right. That was a Wizard cover. I keep forgetting that. Yeah. So good. Okay. Are they going to cover it? Oh, no. Who am I going to follow? Oh, Brandon Choi. I'll follow Brandon Choi. Shout out to Brandon Choi. See, now it's doing it. Damn it. That's what I wanted in the first place, was to be able to do this.
Can we go back?
All right. We're going to end this book. We're going to leave it on the double page spread from Darker Image 0, which was the best. The first introduction to Deathblow. I guess I could do. Is there an arrow down here? Nope. What a bunch of BS, Kindle. Figure your shit out.
Yeah.
It's way more user friendly on the iPad.
Yeah.
You can bounce around the shit.
Touch things.
What did I miss there?
You going back?
I know I saw something. Oh. Okay, we didn't look at that cover right there. Okay, saw it.
That was in the trade.
Okay. There we go. Come on. I didn't realize we went through so many pages. Okay, here we go. Almost there. Getting there.
That's what I tell her.
Almost there. Almost.
Just stay with me just for a couple more minutes. Stop talking to me. Don't look me in the eyes. It's weird.
And she's like, it was only been 30 seconds, but like, yeah, but the best 30 seconds you've ever had, right?
Ever.
Stop
complaining.
Noah wouldn't know what we're talking about.
Yo, Noah's probably 35 by now. He's on his second divorce.
Yeah, how old is he? To me, he's always like
he's
16.
Gonna be like a 16-year-old prodigy.
Yeah, in my head forever. Like that's just what he is.
He's like, guys, I went to Vietnam.
Rhett when he was a little rascal.
Yeah.
Backlash, my favorite male image character, probably Ballistic for female. Booth rules. Ballistic. Yeah. Oh man, Ballistic was such a sexy.
That trait, those 3 issues.
Yeah, the Turner.
That's my favorite Turner ever.
That is. I mean, for Turner's first work, that's my favorite. And he did Great Witchblade, Fathom, Soulfire, all that kind of stuff.
Doesn't touch that. I'm
but
sorry.
That Ballistic mini series, the 1 through 4, inked by who inked that? Was it Weems?
Probably. Top Cow's best. The coloring.
So good
coloring above and beyond what Wildstorm and Extreme was doing at the time.
Yeah. No, hands down. You're 20. Get the fuck out of here.
Get out of here.
That's just
Kuwait.
crazy.
He's like, I got oil for you guys.
Do you have buyer's remorse when you buy comics on Kindle? No, because I buy them on Kindle to specifically for shows. But I still buy the physical copies.
These books we've had since like doubles upon doubles, and like with the Spawn stuff, like I get out like to the weekends when I get to the shops. So by the time we're looking at them, like we already spent our money on it.
I'm spending sometimes double. But I don't buy everything on Kindle, just the stuff that we're going to look at. On here, the Spawn review or whatever, just because it's a better format for you guys, the viewer. When I was doing Appreciating Comic Book Art Live, I would film the books. I'd be flipping through them, and that was fine. That did a pretty good job.
And you were a stickler on that. You're like, we can't look at anything unless it's not like this. I'm like, fuck.
Well, for that show specifically, I wanted the physical feel, because it was about appreciating comic book art and the whole art form. And then we started doing the Spawn review, and we're doing stuff on here. It's just it's easier. I'm lazy, so like I got so much shit going on. It's easier to just get the Kindle version or find a free version online to look at than to film it. To crawl through my books, try to find an issue because I got nothing organized. I'm not or like alphabetical order or title order over there. It's just like wherever it's at, I got to flip through so many boxes just to find it.
Yeah, so most of my shit is in storage, not in this state, which I won't say where it is, but
don't say that.
Like,
you got a hell of a collection.
It's in Hawaii.
We all miss Turner, my friend. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Like, what a gentleman.
I have one of the Ballistic issues. It's pretty good.
No, it's fucking brilliant.
Yeah,
it's not
amazing.
Pretty good, you young bastards. Like, get the other 2 you need and study that.
Hail the Lore is 23.
Get the fuck out of here.
You
really?
youngins.
Jesus
youngins.
Christ.
But you got to understand, we met Noah when he was like 16. I don't know, like something like that. So it blows my mind now that he's 20.
Yeah.
I don't like
I'm really proud of him. Like total homo, like really proud of this kid. Like,
oh yeah.
Putting his like he was making books even prior to us meeting him,
Yeah.
Which was awesome. Like the gusto that he's got, and like he's gotten way more talented over the years, So shout out to him, man.
Just found out yesterday Turner did an issue of Codename Strike Force. Yeah.
Yeah. And he did part of issue 0.
That might have been his first full work before they put him on the Ballistic miniseries, I think.
It was probably 13 or 14. There's a great
Pro
spread.
Homo.
Yeah, I love Pro Homo. There's a great spread of Killraiser, where he's just got all these razors on his back popping out. That was a dope ass character.
I thought about it with some books, but most times I buy it for the art and it feels like a cop out. Yeah, I'm not a big digital fan, although I'm getting more into it. I'll be honest with you. But I love physical. The physical copies. I will still love to this day.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's wrap that up. Let's do a quick discussion here before we get out of here about the 90s stuff that we've been harping on for the last 5 years since we've been doing this show.
Yep. The reason why we do this show.
And Rob Liefeld had his he's been doing a video podcast of his observations I lost the YouTube chat. Where'd it go? Okay, there it is. Weird. And he was covering the 90s and talking about a few things. Sean, you want to set it up? Because I know it was your topic that you want to talk about.
Yeah,
and then
well,
commentary.
No. Like he was going over like take the ball in your court. Take your own destiny in your hand, run with it. A lot of the art that's been coming out in the past few years has been boring.
Yes.
More cookie color to at best. Nothing really inspiring. It's been fewer and far between, and just kind of like we've never been harump type of guys. Like we've always displayed our distaste and stuff respectfully to a degree.
Yeah.
Don't mind some cunts that piss us off, but for the most part, like we've always been, kind of on the straight and narrow with things. But like, yeah, like there's stuff that pisses us off about comic book art, and this is why we love and respect the late 80s, early 90s artists so much, because that's a time we came from, and the passion still inspires us, so that when we create our worlds and our characters, we can aspire to be just as good, even better than them down the road. And Rob just kind of like made me feel smart for the past few years.
Yeah, it's fun to see Rob now that he's not working for Marvel. And he even said it in his podcast that when he was working for Marvel, he was being a company man. He was championing, he was cheering them on, doing his job as a Marvel employee. But now that he's independent again, fully working on his own thing, and he has no desire to work for another company again, besides a few like bucket list stuff that he wants to do. He's being way more honest and talking about stuff, and he's really kind of starting to push back again and putting a message out there for take control of your own destiny, especially specifically artists. He's coming from an artist point of view and not being so much wrapped up in these companies anymore and doing what you're told. As far as like, what we're doing here in the indies. Write your own stuff, create your own characters, put them out there. The art of today. I love the fact that he's starting to really push back on the modern day art. And he wasn't really doing that before. And sometimes I feel like we're yelling into the wind when we talk about the modern day art. And there's some art that's praised nowadays I think is not good, but people seem to think it's good. Well, I'm going to name names though. And I don't understand it. Like we come from an era where I thought it was the best comic book art era, late 80s, 90s, hands down, some of the best art. And you see it a lot on the channel, on this show, Appreciating Comic Book Art Live, all that kind of stuff that we look at. And then you look at some of the modern day stuff where it's lackluster. It's not dynamic. It's boring. It's flat. It's too digital, lifeless. I could go on and on and on. And you don't have the dynamic guys anymore. Handful of guys right now doing it. Shout out to them. We all know who they are. But the industry has gone in a different direction. It's like, bring that back. We've been saying it before. Bring that style back. It doesn't have to be a 90s style, but bring back that style that's more pleasing to the eye and gives you something to look at and to appreciate. You look at Jim Lee here, Silvestri stuff we've looked at, Turner, you get lines on lines and rendering, all the stuff that your eyes just absorb. And that's what I loved as a kid, was looking at that art and just, there was so much stuff to see and so much stuff to just pay attention to on the page. And that's been gone for too long. And, bring that back. So artists out there, get away from the dream of trying to work for Marvel or DC. Because, it could happen. And if it does, shout out to you. But I don't think you're going to be able to draw the way you want to draw. I really don't. Name an artist out there that's really doing like a 90s style. Netho Diaz came out and was doing some stuff. And his stuff now is good. The X-Men stuff he's doing, fantastic. But it's not like the 90s Black Armor style that he was doing with Black Armor.
Stegman.
Stegman's doing his thing too. Look, the stuff is looking good. But there was a pushback in the early 2000s to kind of kill that style of art, and it worked. It took a second.
Realistic,
they wanted more realistic, and they did it, and that's what we are. But I feel like it's a detriment to the comic book visual medium that they went in that direction. Having an artist here or there doing that is fine, but art is a visual connection with the audience. You want that realistic exaggeration, fantasy element. that you can get lost into this fake fantasy world and you can see things like heroes, superheroes, technology, stuff that doesn't exist. We don't need realism, in comics today. And I think that's what's missing. And I love that Rob is coming out and kind of calling that out and also making a push for young creators or old creators to go out and do your thing. And, don't be shackled down by the restrictions of today.
You know what kind of reminds me of? The 21 Jump Street movie where the Jump Street crew goes to high school and everything that was nerdy to our generation was hip and cool. They're like, what the fuck is going on here?
Right.
Did you just make fun of me because I'm a nerd? Because I read, because I want to take care of the planet? It's like, where am I? Am I in Bizarro world?
That's what it feels like. And that's unfortunately we're getting old. And that's,
yeah.
I don't like it.
I hate it.
Michael says, I'll tell you who. Yeah, you will. 100% and the house style shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the new, the current house style stuff. Yeah, the old house style, great.
Awesome.
Coming from Byrne and all them. Like that. All the way through Lee and Silvestri and Liefeld. That was great. That house style worked.
Yeah, that's what we try to do.
The competition through the 90s is what made the art so good. So many artists were trying to be the best. Great point, Rick.
Yeah.
Nailed it with that point. There was so much competition. And we said it a couple episodes ago, we didn't know how good we had it back then. With all of the names, all of these Hall of Fame names doing comics at the same time in the 90s. Amazing when you go down the line of these guys. And now fast forward to 2025. There's no name that compares up besides Brett Booth, right?
Yeah.
Brett Booth, but he was from the 90s. So I got to take him out of that conversation a little bit because he embodies what that is. But who's the superstar artist right now?
Who knows?
Legit not people that are popular, not people that people like, superstar artists that will sell a book. And I'm talking about many copies. We're not doing millions of books anymore, but hundreds of thousands of copies of books purely because that artist is on that book. Name me one, because I don't see him.
Dude, it's all the hype of the day of variant cover artists, where it's like I used to be able to spot them out. I was talking to my buddy Terry maybe a year ago, and he's like, "You don't even know who's this anymore." I'm like, "I don't even care," because it's all artists of the day, con artists of the day, and it's just like, all right, good for you. Good for you if this is what you're doing. Shout out.
No shade.
Dream.
Yeah,
awesome.
No shade at all.
Fucking awesome. Be a variant artist, but there's nobody who's doing sequential work where it's just getting me fucking hard in my nuts. I'm going back to what we grew up on, just to get inspired. There's our friends like Chris Graves and Isaac and those guys that are doing some phenomenal talented work, but it's very few, man. It's very fucking few. It's maybe a dozen at best. For myself that I could say really inspires me, and that's my friends. Most
of that kind of art is in the indies.
That's where exactly
whether it's ex-pros or people coming up like us that don't really have a background, but we're just doing our thing. But when you look at the mainstream stuff, that's what. Sure, somebody could point out a name. They could throw out a name, and I could be like, I have no idea who they are, but they're your favorite artist today. Great, we're a different generation. I get it, but tell me the superstar artist right now that is taking over a title and selling hundreds of thousands of books, and then on top of that, tell me not just one more, two more, three more, five more. Tell me 10 more artists that are doing the same thing, because that's what the 90s was like.
Yeah.
It wasn't just one guy here or there. It was 10 artists, 10 plus artists that would jump on a book and that sale would spike up, because you had the superstar artist. That's what's missing from comics then and comics now. And that's the depressing thing, is there was never a wave of guys to step up after the second wave of the Image or the generation, right? After the Image guys, and you had Booths and the Kuberts and Turners and Finches and all them. There was nobody after them that stood up in the superstar atmosphere, because they were all pushed down by the editors and the writers in the early 2000s. And Rob kind of touched on that, when he was in that dinner with Quesada, and they basically were saying it. They were pushing back against that kind of Image style, that big. They wanted more realism, and that's exactly where the industry went. And that's what we are today. A lot more realistic stuff, even within the there's some good art out there. Like some of the guys that do some of the Spider-Man books, I flipped through that. And I'm like, yeah, this is good. This is decent art. You know, the Absolute Superman, I thought that was decent art. You know, but it still doesn't rise to the level that it was in the golden age. In my opinion, the golden age of comics, which were the 90s. And that's why I say the 90s are still killing it, like the title says, are still winning, because everything is compared to that, because that was the last great generation of entertainment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that was the last great generation of comic sales that were just astronomical. And I don't think we're ever going to, well, I'm not going to say ever. I hope we get that back, but I don't think it's going to come from the mainstream. It's going to come from the indie scene. And Rob is making that point. You know, he's going back to the indie scene. He's really encouraging a lot of other people to be in part of that indie scene, and just go from there. Because the top two, man, that's never going to change. There's a style right now and a mandate for what they're doing, and to me, it's not appealing.
But look at one book that just came out that's doing over 400,000 units sold.
Which one? Battle Beast?
Yeah. You know, like
independent book though. You know, I mean,
independent book. Proven creators. You know, Kirkman and Otley from the Invincible universe. Yes, Kirkman is able to do what he's doing promotion wise and sales wise because of he's got money to do this. Not everybody can do what they're doing, but what they're able to do is kicking so much ass. Like this blind bags. You know,
that's a great idea. Yeah,
dude, that's fucking awesome. A blind, like how they're doing it, how they're marketing it, how the production.
Yep.
Like he's got the capital to back this, you know. But it's 90s adjacent aspired art and characters that's kicking ass, and that's fucking awesome. See? Yeah, exactly.
The thing about Battle Beast here, but I'm glad that Battle Beast is pushing over the 400,000 units. I'm interested to see where that's going to go with issue 2 and whatnot.
Sure.
But let's not sidestep or fool ourselves a little bit, because Battle Beast still has like 15 covers.
Oh, does it?
That's still a promotion that is pushed on a lot of variant covers. Yes, they're doing a great job with the blind bags. I think that's a really awesome incentive to go get some of these extras, like original sketch covers, or issue 2 came out with issue 1 and some of the blind bags. So that's really awesome. But let's not lose the fact that is great, and as much of as a following that Otley has, it's not necessarily his name selling the book. It's the Invincible fan base and universe coming back for Battle Beast, and then having the original or the creators of it on there that made it popular. It's not like Jim Lee or Rob Liefeld or Tom McFarlane or Mark Silvestri leaving a book, going to another book.
Right.
And no matter what the character was, what the story was, the book sold because that art was so amazing. And that was the superstar status of those artists. Like, we don't have anybody like that today. And there's nobody. I challenge anybody to find me that. And not just because they're good artists. You have to have the aura, the allure, the fan frenziness around you to be put in those categories, and there's nobody like that.
No.
Halo said today isn't just about the art anymore, but the story and its characters are being portrayed properly. Yeah, but here's the thing. It's still a visual medium, so. And there's a lot of unfair criticism, I think, to the 90s storytelling, because in much of anything, when there's excessive stuff, and the 90s had excess when it came to independent books, and not just Image, it was the big independent, but there was a lot of independence that came underneath it and whatnot. And yes, there was a lot of books out there that didn't quite put out the greatest stories, you know, because people were putting out, like, pandering, you could call it pandering, but what do people want at that point? They're producing books about what people want. And in that era, people wanted bigger, badder, action, all that stuff. They weren't looking for these really deep, you know, psychological stories or thrillers or whatever. So they were giving styles of stories to the people they were collecting at the time. And it was resonating with people. And then you got the artsy fartsy people who wanted to come back in and change comics to more of like this, story based, a lot more in depth and all this kind of stuff. And that's where it went
Words.
and pushed the art down a little bit. And I think it's suffered. I don't think we've ever had a true era where you've had a marriage of the two completely as a whole. Because 90s was more art driven, even though there's some fantastic stories. Great writers came out in the 90s, 80s, 90s. And now you have some really good writers, I guess. But the art is down, so a great comic book, yeah, art and story married together, absolutely. But I don't know if nowadays it's so much the art and what do you say? Today isn't just about the art anymore, but the story and if the characters are being portrayed properly. I guess I'm sorry. I agree with that. I agree with that statement. I was just kind of giving some in depth on that. Where unfortunately, fuck, it's comics, man. It should be about the art. Damn it.
Yeah.
You have to spend money to make money. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, we wanted more than just talking head comics. That's what it is. Way too many people doing, trying to make comics something it's not. Comics aren't supposed to be. They're not a TV series. It's not a movie. You can do that kind of stuff in TV and movies. You can get away with scenes where people are just talking. It can be engaging because there's acting. That's the difference. You can't take that same kind of thing and put it into a comic book and expect us to read 4 pages of people sitting at a dinner table talking about their life problems and make it some kind of compelling. It just doesn't work. That's maybe some people like that, but I'd say the majority of comic fans, anytime you put something like this in front of them, the majority of people see something like this, like Death Blow, and they're like, "Oh man, I missed that." That's all you need to know. Like that tells you right there what is missing in the comic book industry. So off my soapbox, but
no, great discussion. I think you hit the key points. What was important, what needed to be said, and it was said very well and exquisitely. And to the chat, send us super chats.
Oh yeah. We need money.
We need money.
Damn
Insulin ain't cheap. Beer dye ain't cheap.
All that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the great art with great stories makes comics great. And great comics. They are out there. You got to kind of go mining to find them. I think I will catch like wildfire again. No, I agree with you. That's the goal, right? And they have been made throughout the history. I'm just saying, like as a whole, I don't think there's been a time where there's just been this stretch of great story and great art. Something has suffered, for whatever reason, and I don't know. To me,
I would say mostly the 80s because you had Frank Miller writing and drawing, John Byrne writing and drawing.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Rob was just talking about this on Twitter today, and then like it escalated where he's like, "Look, Rob dropped Wheezy, Todd dropped whoever the fuck he dropped, Jim dropped Chris, Frank dropped whoever, Mazzucchelli or Maslany, whatever.
Yeah,
these guys all dropped the writers and were doing their own stories. Now, were there scripting on Shakespearean level of writing? Most of them, no. But was the stories and awesome and cool? Yes. Yeah.
I think people forget that that's what comics are supposed to be. Otherwise, go read a novel.
Okay.
Like if you want really in-depth writing and all that kind of stuff, go read a novel. Comic books, you can have thought-provoking comics, obviously. You can have stuff that's like really, really well written, whatever, but that's not really what the comic book medium is. That's kind of like an outlier, not the norm. I feel like too many people have tried to make that the norm than the outlier, and that's why I think things have suffered in a way.
You mean people want to get their smoking jackets and get their pipes and sit next to the fireplace with a nice whiskey with three
exactly
things of ice, more, no less.
Yep.
And just
wine.
Just ponder. Or their booze farm. Their box wine.
I want to read a comic that makes me think.
I want to be. I'm so smart. I didn't have to repeat third grade 3 times. I am so smart. I got my 8th grade diploma and I schooled high school.
Yeah.
Good for you, cocksucker. That's not where I'm at.
No, give me guns, explosions, tits,
tits.
Monsters, action.
Yeah.
Give that to me.
Super chat, motherfucker.
What? We got
shit.
money?
Damn. Sheldon Martin for $10. Thank you, brother. Says, "Oh yeah, happy anniversary, guys. Here's 10 clams to get you some insulin."
Nice. Thank you. Appreciate it. I might be losing a foot soon, but cool.
Oh shit, that's not good.
I'm kidding. I'm just in pain.
Shakespeare, go read a novel. Real life, get a camera.
Yes.
I like that.
Yes. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for the $10. Let's I played this the other day. Let's do it again.
$15, little man. Put that shit in my hand. If that money doesn't show, then you owe me, oh.
A jungle love. Oh. Paul Sarge says, yeah, good for cocksucker.
Saka.
I like that. We all worry about AI affecting comics, infecting comics. How would you feel about AI writing for Brett Booth? No. Look, I will. I'm not for AI in any way. I will. Well, AI for a tool, I don't. Or for porn's good. As a tool, I don't mind so much. If someone's using it to help, develop something, that's fine. I in no way want to see comics written strictly by AI or drawn by AI, because then it's not comics anymore. It's just it's a computer produced thing. I've seen, what is this, the VO3 or some shit that people have been putting out on X lately, where they're generating like these really realistic looking like movies and stuff like that. Now technology is heading that way. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. And maybe it phases us out at some point when it comes to the entertainment arts, and then I think society is doomed after that, because you've lost humanity when you go that direction. But for comics, you have a brain, you can tell a story, write it. It's not that hard. It's not brain science to write a freaking story and to put words into characters' mouths. All right. It's not brain science to figure out how to pace a story, how to develop a character, over a period of time. It's not like this really complicated stuff. You can do some research, you can get into it, and you can start doing it, and then you can start getting better at as you go. You don't need AI to write your book for you, so then you can just draw it. Or you don't need to write a book and then get an AI artist to draw it. There are people out there that can do it. So yeah, that's it. Comics were made to be cheap and fun. No friends for dorks. Not friends for dorks. Yeah, it's true. I mean, originally they were throwaway for kids. They became a collectibles. They became an art medium and all that kind of stuff. I still think that comics is one of the truest form of artistic storytelling that you can put out there. It allows you to have the artist show the expression and tell the story, and have the unlimited budget for the arsenal of things that you can tell. You can't do stuff in movies that you can do in comics. They're getting there with technology, but it costs a lot of money, where an artist can sit down and just draw you a 2 double-page spread of the cosmos and a giant galactic war and all this stuff. Unlimited budget, oops, sorry. But if we woke up one day and it happened, would you still buy the comics? If Brett was drawing something, I'd still buy something, because I'm buying it for Brett's art, right?
Yeah.
So if my favorite artist is drawing something and it's written by AI, I'd just be like, all right, fuck the story. I don't give a shit anyway. I'm just looking at the art.
Does it look cool? Probably.
So for me, that's the way I would get around that. Would I be happy about it? No. But that's how I get around it. But if somebody started selling their style to AI, and then Brett retires, and then all of a sudden you're getting a bunch of computer generated or AI books of Brett's style, I wouldn't. No, because it's not. It might look good, but it doesn't have that human element. And I connect with the human element of someone sitting there taking their time to draw an image like you see on the back banner here. That's what attracts me to the art, not just because it's good art. So before we get out of here, guys, we have a book. It's called Type 1. This is over 10K. Thank you to Admiral Wackass on the last show.
Thank you.
Over 10K. Shout out to Sean for getting us over 10K on both of his platforms there.
Yeah. So look, you know our deal. You know my shtick. I have a deadline in my head towards the end of June to get the final 6 pages done. Might be 8, because I want to do some more cool action shots. Sending a bunch of pages off to Dan this week. We're on track, so hopefully get everything to the printer by sometime July, August, and then start shipping out whenever they come in. But man, books coming together. I'm having a lot of fun, dude. I'm just in a really good spot drawing. Yeah, man, just great covers, great friends doing shit for me. It's awesome.
Hells yes.
And, spread the word, man.
Spread it. Don't be a bum. Back Type 1.
Yes,
we got David Williams in the house. As best as to Joe and Sean in the mighty chat.
Good
Same to you, my friend. Same to you.
Sir.
Good to see you.
Yeah. So yeah, we're getting there, man. We're getting there, man. Thank you.
Shout out to everybody that joined us tonight for our 5-year anniversary and the 250th episode of Otten Stuff. It's been a fun show looking at Death Blow, doing some fun discussions there. Join me on Sunday at 8 p.m. for the Ronan Joe show. That'll be fun. And be back here next Tuesday as we look at The Curse of Shirley Johnson on the Spawn review, which, by the way, was a fantastic book. Go out and buy it.
Gotta pick it up,
I think, be in the chat. I want to discuss it. I want to see more discussion from the chat when it comes to some of these books. And if you do buy it, make sure you tag us on Twitter. I got to give a shout out to Heath Ward, who was in the show or was in the chat earlier. He gave, let me see if I can actually find it, because I want to give you your proper shout out, who actually did this the other day and tagged us. Is X still down? It was not working good for me earlier. Okay, we're going. Yeah, X is kind of weird. By the way, shout out to the 100 people that are watching over on X. Good to see you guys. Thank you for joining us over there. And shout out to the 17 people that are in here. We've kept the core 20 in the house here on the YouTube chat. And we appreciate you guys supporting the show and being in here, talking with us, interacting like you have all the time, like you always do. We love you guys more than you know. All right, let me see if I can. Oh, man, where'd it go? I'm going to be very disappointed if I can't find it.
Faithful Sticks.
It should be right in my notifications.
Should be.
Oh, I meant to give him a shout out on the Spawn review, and I didn't see it. Okay, well, let me look at it. Let's see if I can look it up.
Ducker.
Well, I might not be able to find this. I thought it'd be right there in my notifications. Wait, all right, here we go. Go to his page. Here it is. Okay. This is what I'm talking about. And I got to give him recognition for doing this, because we say this all the time. If you buy a book that you saw in the Spawn review or you saw here, tag that you got it, and then tag the people that made the book and let them know that you got it because you watched one of our shows. So Heath Ward, Cosmic Studios, member of the channel,
great guy,
went out and got the Creech trade paperback after we had gone over the Creech on one of the Spawn reviews. And he said, I picked up the trade paperback of Creech 1 through 3 by Greg Capullo, tagged him in there after seeing it on the Spawn review by Joe, Sean, Zach, and Paul. Great story and stunning artwork. So shout out to you, man, for giving us a shout out and letting people know you got it. So that's what we ask of you. If you got a book here that you saw, tag us on social media. Let them know that you got it. Let them know that you got it because you watched this show. X is always down. You dig?
X.
No, I feel you, man. I feel you. Can't wait for your book, Sean. Yes.
Thank you, Paul.
Yes. All right, everybody. That was it. That was a spiel. Happy anniversary to us. This has been a blast doing this for 5 years. We started this in 2020, right around the time that COVID was kind of coming in, just because Sean and I wanted to talk about comics. We never had really any aspirations for what we were doing with the show, except we wanted to talk comics and we wanted to try to interview some of our favorite creators and artists. And we've gotten to talk and meet so many people over the years that we never thought possible. The chat, getting to know you guys, the people that have supported us from right around day one. They're still in the chat now. I mean, you guys know who you are. We appreciate and we love you guys so much. And hopefully we're doing this for another 5 years and just giving you awesome content when it comes to comic book art and interviews and all that stuff. And yeah, I mean, what do you want to say, Sean? That's what I got.
Just thank you for believing in us, believing in our projects, spending your hard-earned time just hanging out with us. The show's also kind of like a therapy session for me. It's been there, ups and downs. So like, I thank you all for just being there, being here for me and Joe for what goes on in our life, and and championing us. Like it feels great producing cool work, and you guys believe and gals believe in it. So it only inspires us to become better illustrators, creators, writers, all of the jazz. So thank you.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, that's it. Before I get too mushy, we're just going to end it on that. Appreciate you guys. Check out one of our shows. Find out who's streaming right now. Go into their chats. Have a good time. Support them. Like their channels. Subscribe to their channels. Help all the small channels out as much as you can, because I know you guys do. And all the mods, dropping links, doing your thing.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate everyone. We are going to get out of here. As always, be good to each other. Take care of one another. And as always, picture me naked. Talk to y'all later. Peace.